Alright, now back in the Kortos sector, after whatever happened with the Agorians, so let's let's get properly on track and reach Azimuth where he's waiting for us.
It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? So I'm chilling here at a Battleplex after party when this foxy young lady tells me she knows of a secret entrance into Nefarious' station.
Quark.
At least I think it's a lady.
Well, it sounds like he at least got proper intel.
Leave the investigation to me.
How does he do
I've got
it?
a plan.
Again, as you said in the previous part, Quark is the kind of person that fails upward and you don't understand why he keeps doing it. Then again,
So it's like Brian Robbins then.
I don't remember who that is specifically.
He made all those shitty movies like Norbert, Meet Dave, and 1,000 Words, and now he's the head of Paramount Pictures.
Right, you did mention. Well, considering this is still Sony and what we were talking about, I was going to mention someone from there, but, still have to.
I'm curious, did he make any good films amongst all the bad, at least to justify how he got there?
From what I've seen, no.
The closest, you can tell in terms of, his action would be him promoting a bit more the output of the company once he took over, which technically was an improvement over whatever the fuck was happening before. But even then, it wasn't, 100% complete flawless. But hold on, one thing at a time, we have a new weapon to look at.
The Plasma Striker.
Basically, this is I think there was a weapon similar in one of the previous games. It's a sniper rifle, but it's specialized by telling you where are the weak points.
The scope pinpoints vulnerable spots on any enemy, making for a more efficient kill.
Of course,
Just in case you want to absolutely mutilate your foes.
Well, this is not Dead Space, but it's close.
Sure, give them a reason to retreat. The Plasma Striker, available only in CrumbleNet.
Why do I get the feeling we are the only customers of CrumbleNet?
33,000 bolts, Jesus. I guess I'm gonna...
Maybe that's why we're the only customer.
Because, again, Jova, both in terms of live-action movies on their own, licensed properties, and especially also the Nickelodeon, related stuff, like Transformers, TMNT, and similar. Recently, Paramount has tried to be more aggressive with their output, obviously to various degrees of success. Infamously, they have no idea how to properly have a release date and marketing for a lot of their movies, which leads to box office bombs, but but again, at the very least you can, again, if he is responsible for at least approving these kind of things, you can say that accomplished something, I guess.
Come on, get back up here and let's find that eye.
Well, weirdly enough, I guess it's because I'm about to say the movie was not yet in production before the property became of Paramount. Because I checked recently, apparently the most recent Garfield movie, the one with Chris Pratt, I thought it would have been handled by Paramount, but no, instead it's Sony. I guess it was greenlit before Jim Davis sold Pulse Incorporated to Nickelodeon. Oh well. Anyway, you noticed a bunch of different plans, so they will be useful for something we will have to do later. Actually, because it's about time that we reference something from Resistance, believe it or not.
Stay close and whatever happens, not let them touch you.
What happens if they do?
Let's just say they can die.
I don't remember if it's mentioned in the Insomniac Museum, but at very least in interviews, they did mention that the Tetramites were clearly inspired by that sequence in Resistance 2, where you get chased out by the Chimera swarm in the tunnel, in the tubes.
Interesting. Again, while Resistance wasn't something that, Insomniac really wanted to do at first, I guess they had formed a soft spot for it.
Oh, fun fact to you, since you mentioned it a bit ago, the Garfield movie was Mark Dindal's first major film directing credit since Chicken Little.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, apparently it was a step up from that, so...
Well,
that's hard.
Yeah, again, it's complicated, not complicated, but it's a long topic to have, Jova, but the gist that you need to know is that it still doesn't feel like a Garfield movie. at its core, but just a movie that was, given a Garfield coat of paint and had a different, plot in mind, basically.
So stick with the Bill Murray films, guys.
No, I still think those are worse, both in terms of appearance and stories. All of them are still bad, just for different reasons. Jesus, get on my back, Jesus.
They really want your ass. But also, it's funny you mention it being a low point, Boops, because apparently now we're at the point where people are starting to come around on Chicken Little. Go figure.
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
So, wow, we're coming around on a movie that has probably one of the worst father figures in the history of fiction.
Not to mention, again, being that not many people talk about, the animation is still putrid to my eyes for that movie. I know, early 2000s computer-generated animation, but still.
Mid-2000s, it was literally 2005.
Anyway, it's important.
When it can be changed. Your father would have said not very.
That's him. And you still haven't given me a straight answer. Now why aren't you with the Lombaxes?
Because I failed them.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, it was kind of predictable.
I made a mistake.
Everybody makes mistakes.
After the Great War, Polaris was a dangerous place. Even with the Kragmites gone, I knew steps needed to be taken to protect the galaxy. One day, we were approached by an inventor with incredible...
Here's something weird that happened. Tools of Destruction established that Tachyon was raised by the Lombax and lived with them and then eventually betrayed them. But here Asimov, almost says that he went to them after. So I guess what they mean with this is that, they let him go and after a while he returned with this, I guess, because otherwise it feels very weird.
Personally, the way I've interpreted it is that they raised him, then let him go off on his own, and then he came back with supposedly the benevolent plan that...
And there you go. Basically, yeah, it mentions that Ratchet's mother is dead, killed off screen. We don't even get to see what their name was and what she looked like. And the father instead stayed behind to keep the Dimensionator.
I was forbidden from joining the Lombaxes.
While Asimov, because apparently he was the one needing to give the decisive vote, stayed also behind in exile.
Bit messed up given how there were plenty of other people who voted, but there you go.
Well, again, it's pretty clear that this is operating on more recent, homaging to Superman, meaning that they want to make the Kryptonians complete garbage assholes, despite no clear, indications they were before that, but, going to find a way to make the hero even more heroic. Anyway, more important matters are then. We can explain more as it goes on, because this is the first of a couple, not that many, of big-scale battles, believe it or not. One of the big things that this game has for set pieces had a huge area where a huge battle is going on, and poor Ratchet has to go back and forth, killing everything on sight.
Goody.
Aggressive race. Help us defeat the Agorians, and I'll show you where it is.
Oh.
Alright then.
Basically, that's what we need to do. Destroy everything the Agorian actually, throw at us and help the locals so that they can help us reach the Obsidian Eye, basically.
What the hell did that voice just say? Just said.
Yeah, you know what would help understand even subtitles for the Darwin game, but we went already over this.
Again, it's just so boggling since there are subtitles. Like, just go the full way, don't half-ass it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's bad usually when subtitles aren't included, but it's even worse when you're intentionally inconsistent about it.
Yeah, I might as well talk about it. Okay, it was already implied in Tools of Destruction with the whole idea of being super paranoid against the Kragmites, which led to their banishment. But this game seems to imply even further that, the Lombaxes were thought of themselves way too high and mighty, and as a result they paid the price when, something that they could have fixed, very easily, went back to bite them in the ass. Again, we have seen this kind of hubris story in sci-fi, not just, when the aforementioned, revised origin stories for Superman, but of course the Star Wars prequels. But I don't know. I get what the writing team was going for, mostly TJ Fixman, but there were co-writers. I need to still, check out specifically who they were, so it was still a bit of a collective effort. But I can't believe this was the intended way instead of being something that was rewritten. But, I don't know, maybe that also serves to justify Ratchet's more asshole-ish behavior in the first game, because, it's another thing of, oh, that's... Lombaxes tend to be a bit too full of themselves, but I don't know, that also is a bit stereotyping in universe, which is not really giving a good look, so I get what they're trying to do, but it almost feels like they're going way overboard with it. And again, what would it help? At least some kind of story, whatever main game or a spin-off or side materials, that will tell us more about how the Lombax society were. Instead, they're still being treated as a big mystery that to this day we have no particular clue outside of the scattered hints that we got in these games.
Regarding your theory that this might be a way to try and explain why Ratchet was a bit of an asshole in the first game, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that if that turns out to be the case, that was a happy coincidence instead of being the plan from the get-go, because it is so far out of left field. And okay, to its credit, I know that we may have dunked a bit on Ratchet being an asshole, but I don't recall that ever being something that fans collectively hated about the first game.
It was still a noticeable character shift, and keep in mind, I'm mostly theorizing that this is a Geoff Johns styles retcon. The writing team in this, with the TJ Fixman of course, looked at how the games were and tried to apply a reasoning on why things were, even if it wasn't, the intent nor it was explained beforehand.
The only reason I have doubts is that I don't recall it ever being a big blown thing that, obviously would be keen to retcon. Granted, maybe they did look at. My only thing is, it feels like, I feel like if they wanted to address that, it would have been something that's more clear, since there are arguably a lot of ways you can infer how the Lombaxes took things. Maybe it was out of pure shame, and let's not forget, they did do a very big solid to the dude who was the last member of a race that threatened the entire universe or galaxy at that, essentially. Whether or not it resorted to them just letting him go or taking him in, there is signs that they weren't ruled by their assholery to the point where that would be the key decision to Ratchet being an asshole in the first game. I do agree with you, though, that there are some Geoff John tier styles of retcons here. That is not necessarily a bad thing. The thing about Geoff Johns is that he will go for the deepest, and I do mean the deepest of cuts with some of his retcons. He will analyze something deep down, or, mind you, he will retcon something that is just really that bad, and often try to retcon it for the better. Yes, not all of his retcons have been the best, but
mostly,
to his credit,
the entire revision of the Green Lantern mythos.
To his credit, that retcon did at least allow Hal Jordan to be a hero.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and also to expand with the full spectrum of color. Like I said, that was probably the best, decision they could make on the matter.
I will say, yeah, you got stuff on the good spectrum, then you got some stuff on the goofy-ass spectrum, which,
Power Girl in the boob hole.
Yes, you know what? Look, I appreciate him trying to give a very good story-related and complex moral complexity on why she indeed did cut that boob window in her costume, showing the hole that is within her heart, but sometimes it's best to just let things be as they be, sexy or whatnot. And again, that's not to say that explanations never work. Okay, Huntress's explanation for the navel window is honest enough. She just says that it feels empowering and sexy, which, yeah, I can believe that superheroes will want to show off their form every now and then.
Especially a character like Huntress.
But the Power Girl one was just...
Especially because Power Girl already had a motivation beforehand. This was Geoff Johns not making his own work.
Look, it's an open secret that, you know, artists did the gag with making her boobs bigger and bigger, just testing to see until they would get called out for it. So, like, I don't know. Trying to justify it with that sappy explanation just kind of felt like they were ashamed. And, okay, if you're ashamed, that's one thing, but trying to explain it like that is just silly. Now, I know what some people are thinking. Wow, Metal Gear Solid 5 is quiet.
We finally evolved the Sonicraptor to its final form where it grows tentacles and becomes blue.
Super Sonic Hero.
Double-D-double-da.
What have we done to that?
I'm afraid I just
creature?
blew myself.
Arrested development. But yeah, no, like, you know, when I hear explanations like that, I do think of Metal Gear Solid 5's quiet with the whole...
She breathes through her skin.
Which, okay, look. Yes, Kojima has done a lot of wonderful things, but we must remember the man is still human, okay? Like some people legit try to move mountains just to try and make it seem like, oh no, quiet's actually a genius deconstruction on the whole, having to strip down and be sexy things, so it's not gooning, it's actually brilliant writing.
It's
like,
not gooning, it's a feature. But anyway, topic at hand. Again, I, at the end of the day, still don't mind too much the idea of the Lombaxes potentially, being, not as squeaky clean as potentially one might have, turned out to be. The thing is that I fear it's more of a case of things falling into place. I get the idea, the whole thing about the making the Lombaxes, morally ambiguous or capable of doing bad things, feels, instead of actually a genuine narrative decision, something that is done in service of, putting Ratchet in a more good light. Anyway, give me just a second to mention what the Agorians just dropped. The Agorians is the Hydra tanks. You might remember that design because Capelli's child in Resistance 3 plays with a toys version of them. That's pretty cute.
Beautiful.
But no, again, like I said, I don't mind it on paper, and I know for a fact that this is still expanded in Rift Apart, but I still need to properly actually give it a 100%, throughout playing of that for myself. So basically, stay tuned for more on that front. Go. Basically, we'll get to the Hydra tanks in a second. What you need to do is to confront each head, and once they're weakened enough, literally rip it apart using the Omni Wrench. You'll see. I also didn't talk much about those particular boxes because I found them particularly pointless. They're camouflaged, so you might not see them, and they just give you a regular amount of bolts, just like any others, so they don't really contain anything special, but they just exist. They are a thing. I guess they might be more useful in challenge mode when you need, more bolts with a multiplier. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Anyway, this is where the negotiator comes into play, because if you've been, good enough to actually level him up a bit, he'll be very useful against these.
Alright then.
Yeah, there you go. Raise the shield, rip off one of the... There you go. Which actually destroys one of the heads. Again, as far as mini-bosses go, this is pretty spot on, just the same way the mini-bosses in the arenas in the previous game actually were. Yeah, the plasma crossbow actually gives you the extra bit of making the crosshair turning green once you're actually homing onto the target. on. There we go. One down, another to go. Again, you can definitely tell the big scope of having this gigantic battle going on, and like I said, we will get, I think, cover 2, one or two, forgot how many exactly, but it translates pretty well with Ratchet's control scheme, I have to admit. So, props to that, especially because at its core, this should still be technically a platforming series, so putting a bit more emphasis on the combat is always a risk. Alright. Thankfully, the minimap actually tells me already where the other objective is, in this case the tank, rather than just, just as a radar thing, instead of actually giving me the magical GPS thing of, here's the target. Especially because this area is still not too big. Let me use this time also to search in the meantime the other writers for the team. There we go. Taking that down. Yeah, right, Brian Hastings. I already heard about this guy. I think he did work on a couple of the games. Yeah, he was a writer since the very beginning. There you go. He co-wrote the first game, Deadlocked. And then he co-wrote also Tools of Destruction and a couple of these. And one, similar to GJ Fixman, his last work was on the Reimagining. Of course, we also conclude with a turret section, because why not? We're clearly operating.
Resistance without that, would it?
We're clearly operating on Klingon logic grids, so speak sternly and with a deep voice. We just need to have some particularly tongue-twisting, code names like Terachnos or something. Thankfully, this turret also doesn't just have the minigun, but also homing missiles, although, as you can see, not unlimited. So it eases a bit the job. Only 9 more ships. Yeah, strangely enough, this particular turret also has a very limited visibility. Not sure why it cannot rotate, 180 degrees, but There you go.
Commander, we've lost the fleet. We must regroup. Fall back to the Huron Abyss.
Good work, Ratchet.
Yay!
I'm setting it
We
down.
did it. We murdered a fuck ton of people.
Woo!
All in the name of heroism and
Yeah, they
peace
were.
and love.
Again, to be fair, they were the bad guys. Even though we established in the previous part that they were not technically affiliated with Nefarious. To be fair, Asimov did mention that this was a fight that we had, no interest in, and the only reason we partook in it was because in order to get to do to the caves with the Obsidian Eye. But Ratchet clearly was motivated by heroism, like believing this was a bit of an injustice. But again, you decide, you know, which side was morally correct. God damn it!
Whoopsie!
Imagine telling that story in the when trying to recount this war. Ratchet, the hero, made his way across the cliffs. Then suddenly he lost his footing and fell off the cliff and died.
Well, that
It's
would
not
be
even
hilarious.
just that, it's like he literally landed but slid back.
To be fair, Dweebs, there are a couple of, you know, fictional tales where, you know, war heroes meet on a very, you know, not decorous, you know, demise. You know, first thing I can think of immediately is Isildur in Lord of the Rings, you know. The person who single-handedly won the Second Age War eventually managed to get killed by arrow behind the back.
While
Achilles,
swimming in the lake and the ring falling away from him.
Mm-hmm.
That Omni-Soaker will ward off the Tetramites.
Oh.
You two alright in there?
Cheers. Oh, fuck off.
Basically. It's not like get off my lawn, but something like that.
Try breathing real shallow-like.
Well, looks like the only way out is
Okay, here's your new gadget for this, the Omni-Soaker. It's similar to the Hydro Displacer. It basically absorbs a liquid and then, you know, spurts it. Also,
the water gun.
yeah, let's go with the water gun. But you can absorb there's a bit of a variety in what you can do with it, so it's not just with water. For example, in this, you get Brigus Nectar, which is, for all intents and purposes, sap or honey, basically, and you can use it to actually distract the Tetramites, you know, to a different location, or to lead them in a specific one. But I think I'm going to show you that. I can do it, I swear. No.
Boy, this has not been your day for footing, Ratchet.
Again, the presence of Clank is sorely missed.
So without Clank, Ratchet just becomes really clumsy.
So here's another thing you can do. You can lure the Tetramites onto that specific door right there, which is actually organic and with a bunch of tentacles. Unfortunately, I did shoot a projectile before, so you know it actually distracted them to a different place. But the idea is that you shoot it there, and there you go. They actually go in mass and literally devour it, so it forces them to retreat and open the way. Pretty ingenious.
Beautiful.
Again, it's basic puzzle solving, so it's appreciated. And hey, it's a bit better than what you could do against the swarming resistance too, admittedly. In there, because it was, you know, we're still trying to make a bit of a horror motif, you were just forced to run away from them, and only at the very end you needed to use the plasma gun to defeat it. Shit! I did not expect them to enter.
Oops.
And Ratchet died again.
One end to meet. Swarmed by the alien equivalent of termites.
It's actually, no, don't you see, it's actually the Swarm Lord from the Magic Voyage.
Of course, then in that case, bees. My god.
I'm not even sure those were supposed to be bees or more like hoppers or something, because the animation for that is so inconsistent that it's never clear.
You know, I find it funny that a film as cheap as that tried to do something as ambitious as a particle effect monster.
It's enough, okay, I guess you can imagine it with enough of a technique it wouldn't be too hard of a task to make, but it still was not completely clear, you know, and... Oh, there you go, Azimuth. And, of course, it led to also more awkward parts, because I don't know if you remember, but the first time the Swarm Lord presents itself to, you forgot her name, the Princess of the Boom Sprites, well, he's called, because it's from Central America, he's assuming the form of a man with a sombrero. Just, well, to be fair, again, when it comes to Magic Voyage, no one is literally safe from, being badly represented, so...
Even Dom DeLuise, who technically had Italian heritage with how he, did his role. Good lord.
Again, Don DeLuise was kind of like John Candy. He tended usually to elevate stuff, but could not do miracles.
Like, even if he elevated Magic Voyage, I'll just go to the age-old saying, 100 times 0 is still 0.
Basically.
I don't think... Oh wait, they did get Mickey Rooney in that thing.
Yeah, the narrator.
Like, and mind you, I know that Mickey Rooney was not, in his super prime by that time, but still, he was like a renowned actor. It's like if decades later you saw, like, say, Robert Downey Jr. suddenly show up in a schlocky kids movie, from what I understand is the equivalent. Like,
I mean, isn't technically what happened... Yeah, I was about to say, isn't what happened with the Dr. Leo reboot?
Oh god. His first movie done after he was supposedly done with the MCU.
And look where it came from. As he himself said, everything comes back to Doom.
I mean, okay.
Like his mainstream film career.
Anyway, we finally got to the Obsidian Eye.
It's ominous, glowing, and in the middle of a module.
Thankfully, this one already has a fulcrum star in it, so we don't have to go on a hunt for that.
But it's cracked, apparently.
A small connection. But hey, at the very least, Ratchet gets to speak a bit with Clank.
Out here alone? Who is that behind you? Is that a Lombax?
Yeah, this is
he's my father.
He's actually your father's best friend, coworker.
Basically, acquired uncle.
Orvis is in trouble. You must go to Xanathar and confront Dr.
So,
Nefarious.
using the moment, Clank uses the information he got from that secret conversation that Sigmund had to warn Ratchet about it. And here it leads to something else that this game does that is a bit weird.
You cannot hide in the broom closet forever, Sigmund.
Get out of the closet, Sigmund.
Synthesize a time portal on Xanathar.
Yeah, apparently, thanks to very simple, quantum manipulation or something, from the Great Clock, you can open a time-traveling, portal somewhere that is stable enough. Sure, I think the trade-off, as we mentioned, is that they cannot go that far back, and it's only fixed on that. But still, like I was pondering, doesn't it break already a bit the rules established by Orbus?
Yes, I believe it does.
I mean, to be fair, it's not using the Great Clock in itself. We will see what the device used for quote-unquote time traveling with the clock is by the end of the game, properly in Orbus' chamber. But I thought the idea was that the zonies, stopped using time travel unless it was strictly for themselves and it was in very specific occasions. While this seems to be basically saying that, you can just, do it, if you focus hard enough and don't, overstep it too much.
To be fair, I'd say there was a rules, but it's not like the capacity to do it was never there, essentially. Like, I get the feeling that our heroes are bending the rules a little because, well, the ends justify the means.
And also because they want to justify the title, and to have, some time traveling shenanigans actually going on, which is understandable.
I do kind of get what you mean, though. Like, if your story and game is obviously going to involve time travel, it's kind of funny to make it, insanely taboo to the point where you question whether or not we should be doing it.
Anyway, tuning for the next part, where we reach that planet where, Nefarious actually built up a base on, and see if we can actually save Orbus or not. See ya.
See ya.